Good morning, students. Welcome to this orientation on counseling session with me. My name is Melanie Briganza and I am student counselor of the college. The duration of the session will be approximately 45 minutes. At the start of each academic year, I conduct this orientation program for first year students of the various streams. The purpose being to personally interact with you, to form a rapport and a connect with you so that you feel comfortable, dealing with me as a counselor, getting acquainted with me so that if ever you have a problem, you're comfortable to come in for counseling. To give you all the necessary information that you require regarding counseling, to address your fears, to clarify your doubts, to make you aware of the importance of seeking the right kind of help when faced with a problem or a stressful situation. Most importantly, to highlight the importance of sound mental health and the benefits of counseling in restoring emotional well-being among people. This orientation program is usually a very interactive session that I have with my students in the classroom, whereby they give me a feedback on their views regarding counseling, their fears, their doubts. But in these circumstances, since we're working online and we can't have that kind of interaction, I am hoping that once things get back to normal and you can be physically present in the classroom, we will have that interactive session. I'm sure you will all agree that never has the need and urgency for counseling been felt so much than it is today. The pandemic has thrown our lives in a disarray. The past 17 months have been very stressful for us. Leaving us to live in a new normal in itself is challenging. Losing our loved ones to COVID, people have been overwhelmed with grief and they're desperate to get closure. Our daily lives have been impacted in ways that we could never have imagined. Wearing masks, sanitizing, social distancing, virtual connect instead of the human connect, especially during the lockdown, working and studying from home, economic hardships in the family with people losing their jobs. And this has affected each and every one of us in every age group, young, old, everybody. With students, they do complain about feeling caged, especially in homes which are smaller, surrounded by family members the whole day. There's no sense of privacy for them at all. Missing out on campus life, coping with moods of family members, challenges faced because of learning at home. Some of them don't even have mobiles. Some of them have no proper net connection, anxiety about the future. As a result, with the steep increase in anxiety, depression and suicide among the people, it is a worry for all people in the mental health professions. People are desperate to be heard. They just want to give vent. They want somebody to be there for them, to connect emotionally for them. But the fact is, how many of us have time to listen to somebody else? We're so caught up in our own world. We talk more to our mobiles than we talk to others. We are social beings. We can't live in a bubble. We need to be in constant interaction with others. But I find there is a social and emotional disconnect sometimes. The purpose of counseling thus facilitates the same. It helps to facilitate this kind of communication whereby people can reach out to us and we can give them a listening ear. And this can be done in the atmosphere of total confidentiality, unconditional positive regard, and a non-judgmental approach towards the client. Today, every school, higher secondary, every college and every educational institute has a counsellor on the premise. This speaks volumes about the importance of counselling and the fact that it is taken seriously as a means to help people going through emotional upheavals and stresses in their lives. You have been using, and some of you could have been using counselling services in your school or in the higher secondary. So let me talk to you about the definition of counseling. Counseling is a planned, structured dialogue between a counselor and the client. It is a cooperative process in which a trained professional, that is a counselor, helps the client identify sources of difficulties or concern that he or she is dealing with. Now, when I say it's a planned and structured dialogue. What I mean is that when a person comes in for counseling, I need to first make that person feel comfortable. I can't just go on talking. I need to see the emotional health of that person. Sometimes people come in and they just start crying, or they just want to keep silent because they're so overwhelmed with their problems. And so I need to respect that. It's very important that I connect with the client and the client understands that I am there for them, listening to them in an atmosphere of total unconditional positive regard and respect for them. Because then when they know that I am giving them that listening ear, they will want to talk. So it's even important that I ask them the right questions whereby they will be able to give me information that I am looking for. That's why it's planned and it's structured. It's a cooperative process because the client who comes in for counseling should come in out of its, out of his or her own sense of wanting help. Nobody can be forced into counseling, because if they are forced to come into counseling, they are not going to come in and share their problems with us. So it's only when the client feels heard and understood and feels that the counselor is actually listening and is interested in their problem will they want to talk. And then that makes a difference. Counseling is also, in simple terms, it is about helping people, guiding them, advising them, helping them to make decisions that they are comfortable with, and reassuring them. So when I say it's all about guiding, advising, reassuring, sometimes students come to me for help because they have backs or the exams are coming close. Ma'am, just help us plan a timetable. We need time management because we don't seem to have time for studies. Our whole day is doing so many other things. So that's the kind of advice and guidance they may want. Sometimes they just need reassurance in the sense that they have their answers to the problem, but they need somebody to tell them, I'm doing the right thing. For example, a student may come to me and say, ma'am, I like history and I like psychology. I love both the subjects, but I find I need to take psychology because it has more scope for me than history. I just want to know if I'm doing the right thing. So I realized that the student has done homework on these two subjects and has realized that there is more scope for psychology than history. So she is being sensible and making the right decisions. So I go with her and I say, yes, I think you are doing the right thing. So that's a sense of reassurance that we give them. But we cannot force our decisions. We need to help them decide on solutions that they are comfortable. Because I may say something which the student may not want to do. Like if my student is friendly with somebody and she finds that that partner's cheating on her, and she says, ma'am, what should I do? And if I tell her, why don't you just break up? She may say, no, I don't want to break up. I need to give him another chance. That's fair enough. So I need to respect that decision. I work with students, parents and staff of the college. I do individual, family and group counselling. The counselling cell in our college has been established from 2004. We were one of the first colleges to have a counsellor on campus. I joined the college that year and I've been with the college ever since. And I must tell you that counselling has grown from strength to strength. With every passing year, we have more students coming in for counselling and availing counselling as a means to help them cope with emotional turmoil and stresses in their lives. So what is my job as a counsellor? My job as a counsellor is to help clients to address their problems in a positive manner, to clarify issues that they are dealing with, to explore options that they have, to identify goals, to develop strategies and potential solutions to problems which cause emotional turmoil, to help improve coping skills among them, to increase self-awareness among them, to strengthen self-esteem. Self-esteem is the feeling we feel about ourselves, how we look at ourselves, and to promote optimum mental health so that they can live stress-free, well-adjusted lives. For example, if a student comes to me or a client comes to me and says, "Ma'am, I'm having a problem. I need to forgive somebody. I've hurt somebody very badly and I need to forgive that person." So what is the goal here? The goal here is she's identified the goal that she's got to ask that person for forgiveness. Okay? So we need to look at ways in which she can do it. So we throw up options and solutions to that person. That either you can go directly and speak to that person, you can either send that person a message, you can call up that person, or maybe you can send a letter with a friend. Okay, these are the options that you have. So you've got to choose what you are comfortable with. Okay, the clear picture is, what is the clarity of the picture? That this person may just shut the door on you. She may put down the phone when she hears your voice. So these are the options you have. But the fact that you are really sorry and you are doing your best to ask for that forgiveness, to repent, and you can't do more than that. All you can do is go up to her and say, "You're sorry." Can you do more? You can't. So at least you've tried these very options, and that should make you feel at least comfortable with yourself. So what are the key objectives as a result of my job? The key objectives is to reduce stress, to restore emotional well-being, and to advise, guide and help students to adjust to various life situations. All of us are faced with problems at some point in our lives. Some problems are major, some are minor. We do not always run to the counselor. If we have certain issues, we talk to our parents or we talk to our friends. But there are times that you can't share everything with your parents or your family. For example, if you are in a relationship with somebody, how many of you are going to tell your parents that, we are in a relationship and I have a boyfriend? None will, because they know their parents are going to get angry and shout at them and react very negatively. So we share a lot with our friends. But what happens sometimes with our friends, if you've had a fight with them, whatever you've shared that's so personal and that's so private is brought out. That friend will share it with all the others, leaving you feeling very hurt and very, very betrayed and angry as a result. So this is when the importance of counselling comes into being, because as counsellors, we are trained to deal with our clients. We cannot shout or yell. We don't do that. Because if you shout and yell at them, you could be just like the parent. If you laugh at them or you make fun of what they're going through, you could be like another friend of theirs. So that's not how counselling works. The most important thing is we deal with our clients in an atmosphere of total confidentiality and unconditional positive regard. I will be talking to you on all these terms immediately after this. So, another point is, yet you have students who are fearful of going to the client, of going to the counsellor. They have fears to go in for counselling. So what are the fears they talk about? And these are the fears that they discussed with me when I had an interactive session with them in the classroom on this orientation in counselling. And I'm going to share those same fears with you. Okay? The first fear is, "Ma'am, you are a stranger. We do not know you. So how can we talk about our innermost problems to a stranger?" And that's correct. That is the reason why I come into the classrooms. I interact personally with you so that you come to know me and you feel more comfortable with me. Because if I had not come to your classrooms, or like now that I'm doing this online session with you, if I had not done it, and if even there were 5 students who wanted to come for counseling, not one of them would want to. But the fact that I'm doing it, at least 1 or 2 would say, okay, we know who ma'am is, we know what she's talking about and how she's dealing, and I think we're comfortable. So that's the big difference. Okay, the next fear is confidentiality. Ma'am, you will tell everybody in the college, you'll tell the teachers and the principal, you may tell our parents about what we're discussing with you. I need to tell you, I've been here for over 15 years in this college, and that has never happened. We do not betray your trust or your confidentiality, and that makes us different from being a friend. A friend may betray it, but we as counselors won't. Okay? So, no teacher or not has the principal ever come and asked me who has come for counseling and what have they discussed with me. At the most, if a teacher feels that you are going through a stressful problem and she will encourage you to come for counseling, then she may ask me, has this person come in for counseling? But besides that, nobody will ever ask me anything more besides that. And I don't even take names or give out your names. Your personal matter, whatever I deal with, is recorded and left only with me. Nobody gets to see it. Yeah, so it's total confidentiality. Nor do I talk to your parents or share with your parents what you're telling me, unless I'm having a session with you and your parents, and only with your permission. If you tell me, ma'am, please share this with my parents, I need to know them to know what I'm going through, because I can't share it. Only then will I do it. Okay? So this complete confidentiality, there is the fear of me judging you. So when I say judging you, what I mean is judging you as good or bad. It doesn't matter what you do. I am not worried about what has happened and what you did wrong. What is important for me is to help you go through that problem that you are facing because of what you have done, and to help you out of it so that you don't do it again. Unconditional positive regard is a term that I've been using in this session. Let me explain this to you. It means that no matter who the client is and from wherever they come, it doesn't matter to us. We as a counselor have to be respectful of the client. We're there to deal with the problem that the client is going through. So it's very important that we treat the client with total respect and we do not judge the client, whatever may be. And this helps the client to feel very comfortable and want to share, because they're not shouted at, they're not judged, they're not treated with disdain, but they are aware that the counselor is serious about being there and being around to help the client. And this makes a big difference in the client wanting to share their problems with the counselor. Another fear is that of language. A lot of students say that the English that we use is not very good. So can we talk in Konkani or can we talk in Hindi? So I am fine with that. So absolutely not a problem talking to me in the language that you are comfortable with, as long as I understand the same. Yeah? And the last fear that students have regarding counseling is the stigma that is attached to counseling. And this is not there anymore now. But I remember 15 years ago when I joined this college, it was very difficult to get students to come for counseling, because 15 years ago, they associate counseling with somebody having a mental breakdown or somebody being mad, and that's why they're going in for counseling. These were the words that students used. They said we were teased if we were caught in the counseling room. So even if they came, they would hide and come because they didn't want the others to see them. And the counseling room is organized in such a way that I have a partition so that my client cannot be seen by anybody else, because we had to work with the fears of our clients. It was important that they came in for counseling and that they came in for help. So we would do whatever it took just to make them comfortable, because their friends, if they saw them, would call them mad or thought that they had a crazy problem. But today, it has all changed. Communication is so easily available on the net about any problems and any issues. Everybody is aware of what counselling is all about. As I've said before, every school and college and educational institute today has a counsellor on the premise. So that fear is not there anymore. So I find students come in openly into the counselling room. They don't bother even if the door is kept open and they're seen. They will talk to me on the campus. They will come in during their break to say hi to me. So it has changed a lot. And people realize that when they have an issue, it makes sense that they come and talk to a counsellor rather than keeping it. So these are the fears that they have, and I am happy sharing them with you so that you feel reassured and comfortable and very accepting of counselling in case you need it. So now let me share about the problems encountered and dealt with in counselling. We'll start with the family. A lot of students complain about communicating with their family members. They say, ma'am, we cannot talk to our family members because they are so traditional. They're not in keeping with the times. We can't tell them anything because all they do is shout at us. So we don't tell them anything, we just talk more to our friends. Okay. Then a lot of students, like I've had students on the campus who tell me they don't want to go home. They prefer waiting on the campus till 4 o'clock till it closes because home is hell. That's the word they use to describe their home sometimes. And so I asked them, what is it that's worrying you? What is it that doesn't want you, that keeps you away from wanting to go home? Who doesn't want to go home at the end of a day in college? But then in some homes, the atmosphere is so stressful and students feel it. They share that, there are fights, continuous fights between our parents. My father's alcoholic, so he beats up and abuses my mother. There's divorce in the family. My father's separated, he has somebody else. So students develop a hatred towards their father. Sometimes there's abuse in the family. There's physical abuse by some member of the family on the child. So that is very traumatic. There's emotional abuse. There are parents who are always insulting their children. There's sibling rivalry, where you have brothers and sisters fighting with each other. Then parents give preferential treatments to certain children. So it's very hurting for children to see this that is happening at home. Sometimes there's death of the parents, so there's grief and there's so much of pain. Then you have parents who are very controlling and have a major say in the subjects of choice for their children. So this is also very upsetting for their children because they're not free to choose what they want. So these are some of the problems that you find in the family. Now regard to your relationship with friends. Everybody loves having friends around them. But sometimes when the friends betray them or hurt them or talk behind them, it leaves them feeling very, very hurt and upset. Okay. Then you also have issues of peer pressure. Now, who is a peer? A peer is a person of the same age group who you're always moving around with. So we always love to belong to different groups. Okay? Because we feel so good, we feel accepted, we feel wanted, we share so much, and it's a happy time. But sometimes what happens, our peers may force us to try out drugs, or to smoke, or to drink. And we're not comfortable doing that. So what do? We want to be in that group, but at the same time we don't want to drink. So how do we deal with it? So I also help students dealing with peer pressure and learning to say no to it. Problems with relationships with the opposite sex. This is a major issue among most students, and they approach me for this because a lot of students say, man, what would be the major issues that you have? What would be the major problems you're dealing with? This is one of the major issues. Relationships with the opposite sex. For example, if you are friendly with somebody, sometimes the relationship ends so badly. The person is very rude and abusive and hurtful to you. Sometimes you find that there's an insensitive breakup. The person just walks away from the relationship. He or she doesn't give you a reason why he's doing it. So it leaves the person wondering, why is he breaking up? What have I done? And this gets the person so upset because there's no closure, they don't understand what is happening. Then you also have controlling boyfriends. You have boyfriends who tell you how to dress, who to meet, what to wear, how to talk. You shouldn't be going out with other friends. You shouldn't be talking to your friends in the classroom. So these are people with low self-confidence. They enjoy controlling you. And as long as you allow them to control you, it's a good situation for them. But what happens to you? At the end of the day, it leaves you feeling disrespected, unhappy, and relationships like this will never work. So when you have controlling boyfriends, when you have physically abusive boyfriends, when you have boyfriends who force you into having physical intimacy with them against your choice, you know they don't respect you. Walk away from a relationship that you are not comfortable with. You also have your partners or your boyfriends blackmail you sometimes. They want you to do certain things for them, and if you don't, they blackmail you by saying, your messages and all the pictures that you have sent me with us in a compromising position, I am going to send it to everybody else. This is happening everywhere. But right now, because the law is so strict and because the police get involved and they can immediately sort it out, and even if you delete your messages, they can be retraced. I think people think twice about getting into situations where they blackmail because they know the law is very strict. And if you find you're in such a situation, please ask for help. Whoever it may be, talk to your mentor, talk to your counselor, talk to anybody. Go to the police station. It's not a big procedure. It's not that the whole world will know, nothing of that sort. But get help. Now, with regards to your teacher, sometimes some students say, we can't understand what a certain teacher is teaching. We're struggling to understand the way the teacher is explaining things to us. Sometimes our teachers are very rude and they pass very personal remarks. And sometimes a teacher may behave inappropriately with the students. In such a situation, again, speak to somebody, speak to a disciplinary committee, speak to the principal, speak to the counselor, speak to someone. But I need to bring it to your attention that our teachers in our college have been there for years. They have years of experience and they know how to behave appropriately and the language that they need to use with the students in the classroom and on campus. The other issues that I deal in besides all these problems, I will just run through these issues. They are exam stress, issues related to sex and sexuality, anger and stress management, career options, lack of self-confidence, lack of motivation and concentration, panic attacks, anxiety and depression, suicide, time management, timetable management, substance abuse, peer pressure. I also deal with emotions such as pain, guilt, rejection, betrayal, hurt, unforgiveness, and grief that come out of traumatic situations that you fall into, and also helping to build self-esteem. Today, there's an added stress of coping with the new normal in the pandemic. Hence, the reason that I talk to you about all these problems and share the problems that I deal with is to reassure you that you can identify with one of them. I'm sure at some point of time, one of you all have gone through or is going through the list of problems that I have listed out and said it out for you all. So it will reassure you that you are not the only one. There are so many people who are going through problems at this point in their time. So ask for help. Take the advice of a trained counsellor on your premises. Don't allow your problems to get out of hand. So what are the approaches? I use different techniques and approach while dealing with individuals, family and group counselling. When it comes to the classroom situation, I conduct focused lectures on, say, peer pressure, I conduct workshops on grief management, anger management, timetable planning. I also conduct motivational talks, especially on building self-esteem, on cooperation and team spirit for students on the sports field. I also have audio-visual presentations. For example, when it comes to cyber crime and cyber or dating online. So we do presentations to show you how, dating a person online can be a problem. They give you wrong names, they give you wrong ages, they look different, and suddenly you go and meet them, you found somebody else. So this is also dealt with. Now coming to our reaction to problems. As I told you, we focused on the problems, we focused on the fears. How do we react to problems? All of us react differently to problems. Some of us would be crying when we have a problem. Some of us may just withdraw. Some of us may just show a very happy side. They won't show you that they've got a problem. Some of us deal with anger and frustration. When we're angry, we deal with anger, we're so upset, we withdraw from others, we relate differently to stress and anxiety. Some of us may eat and sleep more or will sleep less than normal. We are not bothered about our appearance. So these are some of the ways we react. As long as we work out our problems and get back to normal life, it's okay. The problem arises when we allow our problems to overwhelm us in such a way that it leads to acute depression and anxiety, and it manifests in symptoms that need medical attention. This is when we need to realize that counseling won't help. This is when the difference between a counselor and a psychiatric professional comes into being. So once these problems reach a stage where they manifest for so many months into deep depression, even me as a counselor cannot help you. That's when I will have to refer you to a psychiatrist who is a doctor who will use medication and different therapies to help you. So I hope I'm clear on counseling and a psychiatrist. So what is mental health? Mental health includes our social, emotional, and psychological well-being. It affects the way we think, the way we feel, the way we act. It also determines how we handle stress, how we relate to others, and the choices we make. So what is mental disorders? Mental disorders or mental illnesses, they are conditions that affect the way we think, the way we feel, the way we act, our moods, our behaviors, and our feelings. They may be occasional or they may be chronic. They may last over a long period of time. So a person who suffers from mental health condition will not be able to function properly. They will not be able to make sensible decisions or choices. It will affect his thinking and his behavior. It will affect the way he relates to people. So what are some of the mental health disorders? I will quickly run through these disorders with you. You need to understand that these are not in my field of work, but they are important to me for me to identify if a student has these disorders, one of these disorders, and I can refer them to a psychiatrist. But once college reopens and I can enter the classrooms, I would like to do a session on mental health and well-being, because I think it's very important for you to just have information on what mental health and wellness is all about. Okay? So right now I'll run through the list of mental disorders. Okay? One is anxiety disorder, which includes panic attacks, obsessive compulsive disorders or phobias. Phobias are fears. Obsessive compulsive disorders are disorders whereby you're so obsessed in doing something. Like there are some people who are obsessed in keeping their table clean, so they keep wiping the table, or they keep washing their hands all the time, or they keep checking if the windows are closed. So they're obsessed in them. There's depression, there's bipolar. Bipolar is mood swings from one end of the spectrum to the other. So you could be at a very high, with a lot of energy, ready to do crazy things, or you could be at a low, where your mood is very low, you're not interested in doing stuff, you're not feeling in the mood to do anything. Okay? So you also have post-traumatic stress disorder, which is when you are faced with a trauma, and for example, you meet with an accident and you lose your loved ones. Sometimes just passing that area, or sometimes sitting in a car of that same color, may bring back memories of that accident. Okay? That's so you could suffer from post-traumatic stress in that sense. I'm just giving you very light definitions. As I said, I will deal with you about this mental health issue in a special session later on in the year. So there's also psychotic disorders like schizophrenia. I'm sure you've heard this term schizophrenia, because schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, eating disorders are quite common. Now, a person who's schizophrenic would be a person who suffers from delusions and hallucination. Like he thinks he believes somebody's coming to kill him, or somebody is after him. Or they hear people talking to them, and those people are not even there. So these are some of the mental disorders that are prevalent. So mental health is very, very important at every stage of our life, from childhood to adolescence to adulthood. What are the factors that contribute to mental health problems? Okay, so some of the factors that contribute to mental health issues could be biological. That could be because of chemical imbalances in our brains or because of genes. It could be family or having a history of depression or mental illnesses, and it could be passed on. It could also be life experiences, a person going through a trauma, or a person going through a rape incident. So that could also bring about mental health issues. Sometimes people who live all alone, who are isolated, who have no friends, could also go into depression. The same with people suffering from cancer. They could also go into depression, not knowing how to cope with it, because it can be very overwhelming. Sometimes a brain injury could also create a problem. And also sometimes pregnant women who have been exposed to toxic chemicals, it can also lead to problems with the baby. So what are the early signs that a person has a mental health problem? Okay, I'll list out again the signs for you. First one is eating and sleeping little or too much. You're doing things that are not normal with you, usually. Like you love to play football, or you love to swim, and suddenly you're not interested in it. So staying away from something that you are happy doing. Staying away from your friends, not wanting to go out to meet people, not bothering about what you're wearing, feeling numb, as though nothing happens, sense of hopelessness, helplessness, angry, confused, on edge, doing drugs, alcohol or smoking much more than you earlier did, unexplained aches and pains, fighting with family members, scared, anxious, experiencing mood swings, having persistent thoughts in your head about something that you can't get rid of, hearing voices which are not actually true, wanting to harm yourself and harm others, and your inability to perform your daily task. In short, this is a person who cannot function normally like they do. So how do we maintain positive mental health? The most important way of maintaining this positive mental health is firstly by self-care. That is taking care of ourselves. It's very important that we look after ourselves. We need to keep ourselves happy. So we need to sleep well, we need to eat proper and healthy, We need to exercise, because these are the three things which always help us. We need to be positive in our approach. We need to be surrounded by people who are positive and happy. We have to learn coping skills to strengthen ourselves. And do not take on something that you cannot manage. Don't set your goals so high that you can't attain it and then you're frustrated. So be realistic about your goals. So why is mental health more important or equally important to physical health? Because mental health can affect our physical health. It has been found that people who are deep into depression have been suffering from type 2 diabetes, from hypertension and from strokes. Thus, when we feel burdened with a problem or in a stressful solution, seek help from your parents, your friends, whoever you can. And do not allow these problems to manifest and get out of hand, where you need medical help. I will next move on to rules on campus. Our college has certain rules that are enforced to maintain discipline on the campus and to create a safe and secure atmosphere and an environment that is conducive to learning. So I will share with you these rules. I'm sure your teachers will also talk to you about them, but nevertheless, I'd like to share them with you. And these rules have to be followed strictly because we take them seriously. Okay. The first one is compulsory 75% attendance. Because if you do not have that attendance, you will not be able to answer your exam. We have zero tolerance for students coming in late to the classroom, students fighting, getting into physical fights on campus, smoking, drinking or using drugs, body shaming. When I say body shaming, it's making fun of somebody's body. Using sexually explicit language on campus, not tolerated. Being disrespectful to professors and lecturers, and ragging. We have a number of committees that are formed in the college, especially to address these problems. We have the anti-ragging cell, we have the women's cell, we have the grievance cell, we have the disciplinary committee, and we have the internal complaints committee. If ever you have an issue, you can always go to these committees, and they will address your problem. Students, I would like to request you to be sensitive to the other students and be respectful to other students on campus. Respect cultural differences, especially among foreign students who are on our campus. Do not be indifferent to the pain of other students. Sometimes you see somebody in the classroom who you know is going through a problem or a tough time. Be there for them. Try to help them out. Try to encourage them to get help. Sometimes you hear of a friend talking about suicide. Don't take it lightly. Remember, when somebody wants to commit suicide, they will always talk about it. Of course, sometimes students, or anybody for that matter, we just use that term very lightly. I'm so fed up of life, I just want to give up my life. We do use it lightly. That doesn't mean we want to commit suicide. But there are occasions when they do. And it is a cry for help. Any person who wants to commit suicide will definitely say it at one point in their life. That we're feeling so helpless, life is of no use for us, we don't want to live in this world anymore, So, mention it to somebody so that they can keep an eye on that person, get that person to get help so that they can deal with that problem that that person is going through, because a person does not want to commit suicide. Nobody wants to commit suicide. It's the pain that they can't deal with. They want the pain to go away. So let's try and be there for them, because saving a life is a big thing. Every year, We have professionals from the various fields that conduct workshops for our students. Like we have the career counsellor who comes to the college and talks to our students on the various career options available today. We have a doctor that will address students on issues related to sex, touching upon the consequences of being sexually active at a young age, with emphasis on sexually transmitted disease, teenage pregnancies, and the importance of practicing safe sex. We have a cyber crime expert that addresses students on the dangers and consequences of internet dating and uploading personal information on the net. We also have professionals from the various fields and industries like tourism, hospitality or banking that give you an insight into their professions. This year we had a team from Sangat that conducted a week-long screening in our college on alcohol and mental health. We also had a team from the Cooj Mental Health Foundation that conducted a workshop on suicide prevention. Our teachers double up as mentors to work with groups of students, helping them through academic issues. Students, your teachers and your mentors are the link between me and you. They are the first ones to meet you in the classroom, and they are the first ones to see if there is something wrong with you and to notice if there is something. And they would definitely want to encourage you to get help you to get help. So take advantage of that fact. We all work together as a team under the guidance of our principal, trying to do our best to create an atmosphere that is safe, happy, and stress-free for students to grow, to explore, to develop, and to reach their potential, so that they can become productive and contribute their best to the to the learning profession. Emotionally healthy students are an asset as they make a positive impact on the contribution to the community and society. With regard to getting in touch with me for counselling services, I am available for the students through calls, messages and emails. I'm also available in the college if you want to see me personally. Your teachers will share my number, the dates I'm available on, and the timings with you. So please feel free to contact me. I now bring this session on the orientation on counselling to a close. Please remember that I am here specifically for you to address your well-being. So don't hesitate to reach out to me for help. Thank you and have a nice day.